Hello and welcome to Outstanding Outlines. I am so excited that you're taking part in this. Over the next few days, you're going to be learning all about how to make the best possible outline for you. You're going to be learning how to harness your creativity, how to create a roadmap that will keep you writing day in and day out, that will be exciting for you and not feeling like you're just being dragged along. So we have all of these different types of methods. All right, we're seeing these methods all the time on how we should write. You know, you've seen the snowflake method, the 7-point, the hero's journey, the 4-act, save the cat, the story grid method, 6-stage plots, 40-sentence outlines. You and I have my own tossed in there, the 10 essential scenes, and all of these types of things. And there's going to be many, many more of those than just that. But there's so many out there. And one of the questions I get is, well, what one should I be using? And one of the things with these methods is, you grab a hold of one, you start to use it, and then you learn some things from another one, and then all of a sudden you're kind of back to square one. And so I really want to sort that out for you. One of the things that we need to look at is not just what method to use, but why we have all these methods to begin with. Why is it that we seem to instinctively get pulled to these types of methods in an effort to tell a story? The more I've seen in the world, and the more connected I become with people, the more I am entrenched in the idea that story is our native language as a human species. It's how we communicate. It's why fables exist around the world instead of having a book of facts and figures and these are the ways that you live. Because the fables, the mythology, these stories have more power in our minds than we could ever have with a bunch of rules. And as we look at that, one of the things that I've also noticed along this way, and talking about different types of storytelling methods, is it really, if story is our native language, well, we're also going to encounter dialects. And I find that there are 3 main dialects of story. We first have the Eastern, which we can see in Hindu and Buddhist and Tao, and also anime. And this is the idea of when the group works together in harmony, they are able to overcome the difficulties, the antagonist. In our Middle Eastern, which we see in Judaism and the Muslim cultures, we see a chosen group with an appointed or even anointed leader that is able to overcome the problems. And then what I want to call it is Occidental, right? The Occident, the West. And the reason why I want to just mention that this is not calling it Western stories because there's also a genre of Western stories. So the idea of Occidental story, which is here in the West, and this is the idea of a hero will suffer, be reborn, and overcome the problems. And of course, as we look at this, we see a basic element that's overcoming antagonists in all of these, but how it's done is very different. So if we're looking at Occidental storytelling, let's just go back to where we first started to learn about the rules of story. Because again, right, if this is our native language, just because you understand how to assemble words and put them together, it doesn't mean you understand the rules. And so in the same way, if we're going to be doing Occidental storytelling, we really need to understand the rules. And the rules are simple. They're very simple. We see all these methods, but really it's very simple. And you can take a look how these methods, you can put them over the good old 3-act structure, and they all line up and fit. In fact, all these methods are designed over the top of this 3-act structure. Now, you can break them down in different ways, and if that helps you understand and become more creative, then that's how you should grab a hold of it. But the thing you should not do is be running around looking at all these methods and trying to decide, well, which one is the right method? Well, they're all really at the base, this 3-act structure, because they're all Occidental storytelling. Now, if we were looking at East or Middle East, okay, we would have different types of things that we would, when we say 3-act or 4-act, we would actually be looking at different things. But instead, since it's all here in Occidental storytelling, we have the same ideas. And it's just how we're going to put those together as the writer, as we're assembling it, that matters. Because we want to be able to grab a hold of something that's exciting, that grabs our attention, that keeps us coming back to sit down in the chair every single day to put together the best story possible. If we can understand that all these methods really boil down to just the 3-act structure, then where do we start? Well, I think every outline needs to start with one question. And that's why. Why are you writing this to begin with? Because if you're writing it for yourself, then just tell the story you want to tell. Tell the one that you really care about. And what does it matter what rules you follow or what kind of genre you're putting in or whatever? Because it's just for you. And you should do what it is, again, that excites you. If, on the other hand, you're writing this for commercial publication for a specific audience, it means there is a specific audience out there for it. And I want you to think about it. Let's use a metaphor about restaurants, right? So I love hamburgers, love them. And as I've traveled across the country over the past several months, I've stopped at a lot of places, had a lot of hamburgers, a lot of good ones, a couple bad ones. But one of the things that I notice, right, when I go into a hamburger place is guess what's on the menu? Hamburgers, right? I don't go to a noodle place to find hamburgers. All right. I'm going to go to the same kind of thing. Now, it's one of the reasons why you see chains across the country, because people go there because they know what the menu is, right? The menu is going to be the same. But I kind of like to find those other places. I got to know that it's got burgers on the menu, but I want to see what they can add to it, right? And so in the same way, that's what we want to do. We're not changing the menu, but we're changing those ingredients. Because an outline, that's what it is. It's just a series of things that you can do. And so when I want to target someone, who likes hamburgers, I can make them put the hamburgers on the menu, and I can make that hamburger just a little bit different with the ingredients that I use. In fact, the strongest ingredient that I can use in there is my own voice. So if we were all to write a story from the same outline, guess what? Each one of us, just by voice alone, just by how we perceive things and characters and how we would write things, how we tell the story, it's going to sound different. And it's going to have a different type of experience. It's going to have a different flavor to it, even though it's a hamburger, right? It's all going to be a little bit different based on what it is we add to it. Our voice is just so unique. Now, at the baseline of all this, different methods, all these types of things, 3-act structure, the thing that should be most important here is being able to find the thing that excites you, because that's what we want this outline to do. As we're building this outline, we want it to excite you, to pump up your creativity, to get you sit. Put your butt in a chair and write. Okay, that's what it's for, is to help you do those types of things so you don't end up with writer's block. You know where it is that you're going with your story and what's going to happen there. So the great thing about the outline, though, is it can be as basic as a hand-drawn map. And on a hand-drawn map, you're going to occasionally get off course. You're going to miss some turns. And that's all right. That's really good for people who like to explore in their writing, or pantsers, so that they can have a basic idea of where it is they're going, but still have all this room to explore. Now, if you're really detailed-oriented and you want a very specific outline, you can do that too. It can be just like a GPS. That's telling you every few hundred feet what the next thing is to do. Okay? In 100 feet, you need to add in the antagonist. So let's start with readers then. Okay? If you don't know what genre it is you're writing in, or specifically if you're writing literary fiction, then you're going to definitely want to know who it is that you're writing to. Fun thing, right? We all have unique lives, right? We all have unique aspects in our lives, but we're also human. And so we follow that great Disney song, right? The circle of life. We're born, we go through life events. They usually transpire at particular ages. And this is just the natural flow of life, right? Unless you're Benjamin Button, okay? You're born little, grow old. You don't do it backward. So we can see that if our target reader, let's just take me for instance, it's a 42-year-old male, that they're going to have certain things that have happened to them in life. U.S., most likely college educated, right? 42, probably been married. Good chance that if they've been married that they also have children, have had a couple of jobs, and are finally getting into the stride of life. Okay, that's the generalities of it. And of course, that's going to change with environment, what state they live in, race, religion, other types of backgrounds. But generally speaking, you can expect those types of things to have happened. I'd like to show you some ideas brought down by David Farland in his $1 Million Outlines, where he does age breakdowns. And at these particular ages, what the normal interest is for men, women, boys, girls. So at the younger ages, you start to see things that are more along the lines of wonder, humor, and horror. And this is usually the same for both boys and girls, because Again, puberty hasn't happened, so we're not seeing a definite line drawn between. And so we see stories that have a lot of these types of things in them that appeal to younger audiences. As we move forward, if we look at boys between 12 to 19, again, now we're hitting into puberty, they're becoming more male, we see them interested in adventure, fantasies. If there's relationships in there, we see them as a sexual element of a relationship versus that same age group. For girls, we see more of the romance element if there is a relationship involved. Independence is another big thing for girls at that age. When we get into men, 20 to 40, we're looking at thrillers, that they really kind of identify with those thriller books. Women of the same, contemporary romance, and also mystery. As we get into older generations, 50 and up, we start seeing lots of stories with practical application. This is very good surface level stuff, and it's a good place to start. But also take a look and go deeper. When you're really starting to look at who you are, I want you to be building. I want you to be building an avatar. I want you to be building your ideal reader. And so as you go deeper, you're going to look at things like what I call emotional life experience. Jobs, education, race, location, gender, marital status, religion, children. Another thing, of course, is death experience. Have they experienced death closely, or is it a distance? All those types of things have a deep, profound effect on that person. And they are elements that you can draw from as you're writing. The reason why we want to do this is we want to make the reader feel like the book was written for them. And so the more that we can actually target one specific reader and we can put these types of things into practice, then we can have a more fulfilling experience for that targeted reader, that very targeted reader. Think of it as a bullseye. Hey, we want our very targeted reader to be right there in the center of that bullseye. And so we break this down and have these types of things. 99.9% of the world has, at one point in time, fallen in love. And so we look at the larger experiences where we can have shared experience, shared understanding. We put that into our characters as we start to target out that audience. Where the larger thing, and these are usually the plot-driven elements, those are the things that they come to. Because why? Why is it that a kid, who's 12 to 17 wants to get into fantasy and adventure, right? Because they don't have fantasy and adventure in their lives. What is it that we really are doing here for people? Well, we are selling this reality. We're selling what it is that they're missing. And this struck me so big this last year is that I just continually consumed Richard Fox's series, one of his sci-fi military series. And I was trying to understand, why is it that I keep, putting all my credits from Audible right into here? The moment I can get another one of these books, I'm just grabbing it and consuming it so quickly. It's because, for me, what I miss most in my life is having that squad, that real tribe, that real connection with soldiers that I just dearly miss having in my life. And so his books were giving that to me. Okay? So what it is that we're missing in life is usually what we're escaping into. So understanding what someone doesn't have in their life will help you craft a book that gives them that type of excitement. A person that comes to sci-fi is looking for things. A person that goes to mystery is looking for things. A person that goes to romance is looking for things that usually are missing in their own lives. Okay? We give people the dreams that they're after. And it's a fun way to do it, and it's those types of stories. And we can hook people into these types of ideas. And there's just so much that we can do when we write and we share stories and we get them excited about it. We want them to feel like the book was written directly for them. Again, if you don't know what genre you're writing in, or if you're doing literary fiction, then start with this very targeted reader, understanding who it is that you want to be writing to. And that's going to help make additional decisions as you're writing your outline. Now, you do know what genre you're writing in. Then let's start with the genre, because again, we can be all over the place with age, with all these types of things. Okay? It does matter still. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we want to start with the genre because we want to make sure that we're putting together the menu the right way. So, our top genre. Every genre has got a subgenre, and there's a lot of them, and of course there's things that are changing. Lit RPG has come along in the last little bit. So, new genres can be born, old genres can go away or move out of fashion, but let's just take a look at the basic top genres. Romance, mystery, thrillers, sci-fi, fantasy, suspense, westerns. Okay, these are main genres that have an element. Let me just share one element from each of these things. So if you're writing, let's say if you're writing the romance, right? What's a big element in romance? Well, they can't get together until the end of the book. Okay? That's a huge element. If they're together throughout the book, you're not writing a romance. You're giving the wrong menu to your customer. If it's mystery, all right, they're unraveling something that has happened. There's this mystery and they're going to solve what's going on with it. If it's a thriller, they're going to be stopping something from happening. When we look at sci-fi, right, we're posing questions. We're posing questions in a world that could be ours. Okay? So it could be in a near future. It could be the idea of a far future. What would happen? Again, like take a look at Star Trek. The idea of what would happen when we run into other life. What's going to happen to us as we expand across the galaxy, and how do we still be human, and all these types of questions. So they're big questions. They give you a lot of space to play in. Fantasy. We're having these ultimate human experiences. Maybe they're not even humans, but we're having these ultimate human experiences in this bold world. Think of the hero's journey, right? This idea of going out and having a transformation take place, the death, the rebirth, and bringing information back to people. So we're having this very human experience in this very bold, fantastic place. Suspense. We're accelerating that tension and danger at every turn, and we don't know what's going to happen next, and we keep people on the edge of their seats the entire time. They've got to keep turning those pages. And the Western, you're writing a Western and not Occidental. We're talking about the actual Western genre. You are creating characters and things that are talking, they have that feeling of freedom, right? Freedom to build the life that they want or fail. And no one else is going to get involved with that. So these are big ideas, that can transpire in each of them. Now, what should you be doing if you're going to be writing in a genre? You should be reading the genre. You've got to be reading the genre. You have to understand what's out there. And I know, like I was there too. I kind of stop reading in genres sometimes when I'm writing in it because I don't want to, find out someone has already done my idea. Well, guess what? Everyone's already done all the ideas. All the ideas are done. And what again is it? It's your voice. It's your unique structure. It's your way to do it. Now, that doesn't mean you can just go and rip people's ideas off. You want to be creating something there and bringing your own unique voice, not plagiarism. But these are the types of things that you've got to do because, again, just like romance, which is going to have subgenres in it, you need to understand your genre inside and out, being able to read what other people have done so that you can deliver, again, metaphor of the menu, you can be delivering the menu that people are expecting. Now, you can cook the food how you want to, but you've got to be giving them the food that they've come in after. You've got to be giving them the correct menu. Okay, so if you're choosing to write in a genre first, and you're focusing on that genre up front when you're doing your outline, does that mean you can forget about the reader? Absolutely not. And the reason is because if you've taken my course, Punch 'em in Gut, Writing Fiction with Emotional Impact, that's what that entire course is about, is the idea of connecting the reader emotionally to the protagonist. Because that bond between them is your target. That's your ultimate target. Again, it's that feeling that this book was written directly for them. And so, yes, you have the genre. You're still needing to identify a reader, so that you can form a protagonist that's going to fit really well with them. Also having a clear target, reader and genre, is going to make things so much easier when you're getting to the marketing phase. But wait, I'm going to do this traditionally published. I don't have to do anything with marketing. Wrong, okay? You need to be able to understand it. Even just to pitch it to them, you need to be able to understand it. The more information that you can bring about your story helps you get in closer into that traditional publishing contract. And you're still going to have to do some legwork on your own. That's just built in now. Small press, traditional publish, indie publishing, whichever direction you're going to go, you're going to have to do some legwork and connect. And so if you can understand who it is that you're going to connect with, how much easier is it to find the reader? Because pretty soon, as you find the reader and they connect with it, they feel the book was written for them, guess what they can't do? They can't stop talking about it. They're going to talk to everybody about it who's not the originally intended target. And so then all of a sudden you've got, again, look at this bullseye. That was our targeted reader. Now we're moving outside of each of these rings. We're going to find additional people that are interested. Up front, as you're starting to very first put together this, and we're going to go through this course step by step, just breaking down these little tiny parts. So tonight you can go and take a look and you're like, well, do I really know who my target audience is? Do I have a reader? Should I be targeting the genre? Am I getting the genre right? These are some questions that you need to be asking yourselves as you put this stuff together. And throughout this course, you're going to be learning new additional parts. And by the end of it, after you've watched all the videos, you're going to be able to put together an outstanding outline. Next lesson, we're going to be taking a look at how we can reduce to the simple, right? We want to be able to boil our story down so we really understand it, and then how we can cast additional characters to make the story even better.